Hey guys, so here is the book review. So right now I am reading What to Expect When You Are Expecting. This is a book that I think lots of you have probably heard of. It's a really popular book, something like my mom read and probably my grandma probably read it too. But anyway, this book is really, really awesome. It's funny because my mom had mentioned, oh, I should buy this book, and I was like, oh, but really I could just like go online and go on YouTube, and there's so much like information online. I don't know if I necessarily like need to have a book, but really this book is so well laid out, and you don't need to like search for anything. Like it's all just right here. I've basically read like from back to front. Like I really have pretty much read the entire thing. I did skip the first chapter. It's about like trying to conceive, so I obviously skipped that part. So I'm already pregnant. But it does talk about that too. So this isn't necessarily like a book that you need to get just when you're pregnant. Like it's a good book for how to become pregnant and ways that help yourself do that. But yeah, so each chapter, for example, like just I just opened the book. So 6 months it starts, and then there's like a picture of what the baby looks like at that point. Then by each week it goes and has a little bit of information. Then it has the symptoms on the next page, things that you'll start to feel within that month. And then just some questions too that people have asked, I guess, whoever put the book together. It is a little bit more for North America, for sure. So there's a lot of stuff in here that's different compared to France. But I've been getting a lot of information, French information, from various websites, and then from my midwife. So pretty much everything is exactly the same, except for its opinions about natural births and versus having a C-section or being induced, and epidurals and whatnot. So opinions on that are really different. It could just be my midwife and the women I've talked to, but they seem to really, really promote natural birth. Like my midwife is like, if you want an epidural and you want a C-section, or if you want any kind of like induction, she's like, I don't do that unless it's medically necessary. But I'm not I'm not the midwife for you if that's what you plan on doing. So she's really supportive of having a natural birth. So anyway, this book, they go through everything. So if you are wanting to have a natural birth, or if you want a C-section, or you plan on having an epidural, or if you think you might have to get induced, this book definitely like goes through all of it. So I'm not going to go on too much about it because I actually have already done this blog already. I talked for like 20 minutes and it was so boring. I really did just blab on the entire time. So yeah, I'm not going to do that. So read this book. It is really, really good. I like the way that it's laid out. So that's a huge key thing. Okay, and then there's this other book. The Womanly Art of Breastfeeding. Sorry if the light is not really that great. Oh, there we go. Okay, so The Womanly Art of Breastfeeding. It's by the Lech League, or Lech League. I don't know how to pronounce that properly. International. This book is really awesome. My aunt gave it to me. And I started reading like from the very beginning, and I'm really glad I did, because at first I thought, oh, I'll just like skim through and read things that I find interesting. But I've been reading it from like the very beginning. So I haven't finished this entire book yet, but I do plan to, like, before the baby comes. But it really explains absolutely everything, like in how the breast milks, how it works, and then the colostrum and all that. And I didn't realize, but according to this book, how you breastfeed has a lot to do with your labor. So, I mean, this is opinions. I don't know like how like scientific this is, and it's also just kind of like from my understanding. But this book is really making it sound as if you have a natural birth, you'll have a little bit of an easier time breastfeeding because your baby will have an easier time latching. So basically what the book is suggesting is that if you are having like certain medical interventions, like an epidural, for example, it does go into the placenta and it does affect your baby. So that is proven. They do have scientific proof for that. But I mean, it doesn't harm the baby. So lots of women still choose to do it because it doesn't harm anything. But the one thing that is harmful, or maybe not harmful, but one thing that it does affect is that your baby is a little bit dopey when he comes out or she comes out. So when the baby is placed on your chest, that instinct to like search for the breast to eat isn't quite there yet. So it just takes a little bit longer. So I'm not saying if you have an epidural, it's like bad and, or that your baby's not going to latch, like they do. Just the book is suggesting that it takes a little bit longer, which I guess makes sense. So anyway, this book talks about things like that compared to natural birth. And there is, when the baby's like head comes out the birth canal, there's like the surge of hormones that's released. Excuse me. And it like is signaling for your body and for the baby as well that like the production of milk is gonna start. So I guess apparently you just have colostrum up until like that actual hormonal release. So sometimes when there's like C-sections or things like that, it just takes a little bit longer for the body to realize that the baby's out and that because it hasn't had that hormonal release because the baby wasn't in the birth canal. So again, that I don't know how scientifically proven this is. I don't know, but I mean, it's in the book. But it is from the Leche League International, which is a pretty like reputable association. So again, that's not like my opinion. I just read that. But yeah. Anyway, so these are the two books that I am reading, and I really like both of them. So I would suggest reading them. So far, the Art of Breastfeeding gives you a lot of like simple ways to help you breastfeed and help the baby latch on. So it doesn't seem that difficult. They seem to really be able to like they've given me the confidence that I can do it. They do also have a whole chapter on women who are having a hard time breastfeeding and various reasons for it. So I think there's probably something in this book for everybody. Yeah. Okay, so I'll leave it at that. Those are the two that I'm reading. I am reading some other books as well. A French book about raising children in France. And it's a really cool book. It's called Raising Bébé. And a lot of the things that it's suggesting in terms of raising your child, it's a lot about involving them in things that you're doing and explaining things to them and reasons for things. So it seems like a lot of common sense, but I mean, I don't know if I was necessarily always raised that way. I'm sure my parents at some point had said, like, because I said so, which is like the worst thing. I hate that. It's probably just my personality too, but I love having reasons and explanation for something. So this book that I'm reading, Raising Bébé, it suggests that anytime your child asks you a question, give them an answer. And if you don't have an answer, then why did you tell them no in the first place? Like if you said no, you can't have candy before dinner, that's a pretty like good reason to say no. You explain the reasons why to them, So I really like that. It really involves them. And it also, I think it makes them a little bit more confident too to like ask questions, not be afraid to ask questions. And then another thing it suggests is to involve your kids in decision making, which I love. I love that. Simple things and important things too. So, I mean, if you're planning on moving to another country, then you should be involving them in that decision. Even if they're 3 years old, you still need to have that conversation, and I like that. And then simple things like, your child doesn't like Brussels sprouts. Okay, well, don't force them to eat Brussels sprouts. Take them to the grocery store and get them involved in choosing a vegetable. Okay, I know you don't like this vegetable, so I'm going to give you the choice, and you get to decide what vegetable you eat. That way, they're still eating a vegetable, but they've had a choice, and that gives them a little bit more, I don't know, understanding for reasonings why you say things, and then it also gives them more confidence and more independence. So it seems like the French way of raising children is about like creating this independent child. And then what I also like about the book is that it focuses a lot on the mom as well, and giving her time to do things. And my midwife said the same thing. She says, when the baby's here, you still have a life. Like you are separate from your child. Your life doesn't evolve around your child. Like it does to some extent. Obviously, you have to like raise your child and be there and take care of everything. But she basically saying, and this book is saying that like I deserve some time to myself, even if just an hour, to do my own thing. So my midwife is like, when the baby comes, like Lee gets the baby for just an hour, and you get to go out and do whatever you want to do, like go have a coffee, go for a walk, go to the park, like do your own thing. So it's nice to kind of suggest that. I guess they don't really make fun of North Americans, but it is kind of in the book that North Americans tend to be all like, oh, I have a baby now, my life's over, and, everything revolves around the baby. And I mean, it does to some extent, but no, your life's not over. And there's plenty of time in the day. There really is. So midwives is trying to explain that to me, that, what you see in movies and hear other women say, like, yeah, it is a lot of work, and having a baby, as I'm sure, is not going to be a breeze, and it's going to take up every second of my day and night. But no, she was explaining that no, you can make an hour to do your own thing, and as long as you have a supportive community, like people around you, to help you achieve that, then it should be no problem for you to do that. So anyway, those are the 3 books, and I will hopefully update this blog again at a more regular rate. Okay, see you guys later. Bye-bye.